Welcome to another video from PixLogik. I have Unity open and you'll notice some changes since the last video. I have added a background, a left and right wall, and changed the sprite for the moving platforms. The background is made up of one sprite to create a tiled brick effect. On the left hand side I have created a wall sprite backed by soil, and this is the same on the right hand side. The sprite sheets for the left and right hand walls are the same, just reversed, as is the rule set. The left hand wall has to have the soil joined onto the left of the wall image, while the right hand has to join onto the right hand side of the wall image. So that's what I have updated. The next thing I want to actually do is create my own enemies to avoid. So I'm going to start working on that just now. I have a sprite open and created a new sprite which is 24 by 24 with a transparent background. I'm going to bring up my grid. I want my enemies to look like balls of energy. The main reason for this is it keeps the animation simple, and as I'm not the best artist in the world, it makes my life easier. I will stop chatting now and just get on with it. I will now save this and create a sprite sheet in GIMP. I have GIMP open and I am going to create the new sprite sheet. It's going to be 96 by 24, transparent. Let's zoom into that and we'll get our grid up. Now because we've been using 16 by 16 before, the grid's going to be slightly off, so we're going to have to change that. We will go into image, configure grid, and we'll change this to 24. There we go. Now we will open sprite 1 to 4. And just drag them onto this. Just check I've got snap. Yep, snap to grid needs to be on. There we go. And we'll export that. Okay, we'll now go into Unity. Here we are back in Unity, and I am going to import the sprite sheet I just did. It's a multiple, point, none, and for the pixels per unit I'm going to make it 16, even though it's 24 by 24. Apply that, go into the editor, I'm going to slice it, and the pixel size I'm going to make 24 by 24. And apply that. We're going to take one of these and we're going to drag it up onto our scene. Okay, with this sprite selected, we're going to create an animation for it. So we go to Window, Animation, Animation. It's going to ask if we want to create one, we do. And we're going to save this in Test, create a new folder called Animation. And we'll just call this Enemy Sprite. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it over into here. I'm going to take the first sprite here, drag it up. If we click on this arrow, it will show us it. Take the second one up, drag it up, and the third, and the fourth. Now I'm going to give it 8 frames between, so that'll be 8, 16 and 24. Okay, now if we press play, that animates. I'm going to now delete this one. We'll clear that. That was just because that was up here. I'm going to go into my prefabs, enemies, and I'm going to change the sprite and the animation. Play that. Okay, and then we'll do the next one. Okay. After looking at the animation for the enemies, I wasn't entirely happy with it, so I went back in and made some tweaks. Main one being that I took any sparks coming out on this one. This gives it a more dynamic look in the animation. I'll just show you that just now. Yeah, it's there's a bit more movement to that, so I'm going to leave it at that just now. Now that we've changed the sprite and the animation for the enemies, there's one last thing we need to look at, and that is its box collider. So we'll just go into the prefabs, our enemies, and click on that. Now I'm going to make this slightly smaller. Now that's fine, and now with this one patrolling within bounds, you will have to make the box collider slightly longer. I'll just show you why. If I press play on this one, his collider is going to touch the platform collider. So we want to move this down to give him some height. Now in this instance it doesn't matter if the Y is 0 or not, because if we set that to 0 it's going to push this to the centre. That gives him some height. Just make sure I can actually jump over him. And we can, that's fine. Okay. The last thing I'm going to do in this video is clear up some UI elements. So I'm going to go into my prefabs and I want to go into Retro Adventure UI camera. Open the prefab for that, and I want to remove the inventory canvas and also the jetpack bar, because they're two things we will not be using. If I go back into the game, okay, we've no longer got the jetpack bar and we've no longer got the inventory canvas. That's fine, and I think that I'm going to call it that for this video. In the next video I'm going to change these stars to coins, and I'm going to update our character sprites. Hope you'll join me for that. Thank you. Bye bye.